I'm your host, Sheldon Alexander, and what a night in the NBA on Wednesday. We'll break all of that down as we'll give you some picks for all four of the Game 6 series in the second round. I mean, I went 2-2 from Monday's pod, bringing the totals to 31 and 23 against the spread in the play-in/playoffs, and 43, 27 and 1 against the spread overall in my NBA picks. For that, let's move on to Thursday night's games, because those games, some interesting storylines there. We'll obviously start with the Heat and Sixers. The Heat leading the series 3-2 after a massive blowout win, 120-85, covering the 3.5-point spread. Easy. And you know me, I'm not wavering here. I'm not going on Philly. And I know that the idea would be to take Philly because they're back at home now. But no. Stated this earlier. I've stated this from even during the Raptors series. I am familiar with Joel Embiid's work. Okay.
Right.
They should have wiped out the Raptors, especially with the injuries the Raptors were going through a lot earlier. Instead, they let them hang in that series and get comfortable. Cool. Joel Embiid, after going and you know, everything's great in Philly, everything's all right. And then now you follow that up with a performance that leaves you after the game talking about how you're in a no-win situation. What the hell are you talking about, bro?
Yeah.
I get that you're mad that you didn't win MVP. I understand that you're saying sorry. He said he's in a lose-lose situation in terms of playing through the injury. Why are you why are you not focused on winning? This is exactly where when I come out here and say things about institutional wins, I am on the Heat because of an institution that is Heat culture and the institution that is Sixers culture, which is whack. That's why I'm going to be on the Miami Heat in this game. I'll get to my particulars after as to why I'm going to be on the Miami Heat in this Game 6. And for the record, I'm getting too hyped now because if you can't tell, my dislike for Joel Embiid, everything that is Joel Embiid and the Sixers is shining through here.
Yeah.
Philly is favored by 2 in this game. Give me the points with the Heat. I think the Heat close it out in Philly. I like to say it all the time. Real teams in the playoffs, they win road games. They win tough road games. This will be one where if Miami wins, I'm like, okay, that's a real win. I'll get into the particulars after, but I just don't want to. I'm too amped right now. I need to calm down a little. I'll let you go and give me what you're thinking in terms of this line. Philly -2. I think I know where you're going, but
I thought you were going to when you started your speech there. I thought you were going to talk about how you want the home team because
role players,
of the role players and the stuff that we talked about in the last episode, which you were very correct about when it came to Miami. Now, maybe, you only feel that Miami's role players are capable. And honestly, that would be fine. I like that. If you just like Miami's supporting cast better, that's an element of, like you said, sort of franchise culture, institutional.
Do you want me to tell you what it is?
Sure. Yeah.
So my thing is the biggest thing is that when last time in Philly, Kyle Lowry's coming back injured. He's hobbling around for 2 games.
Right.
That did not help Miami in any way. It's almost like the Raptors series with Fred VanVleet. You're better just not playing because you're hobbled. So you remove Kyle Lowry. Vincent comes in to start instead. And he is a defensive guy. That helps. But what that also does is allow Jimmy Butler to slide over and guard Maxey. And if you're slowing down Maxey, right? James Harden's going to be James Harden. We know he's going to be the wild swing of, hey, I have my spurts and then I don't have my spurts and then I'm disappearing because it's a playoffs, and whatever James Harden's going to do, he's going to do. But if you slow down Maxey, they're in real problems. And I don't know why this was on PJ Tucker, but PJ Tucker talked about it in the last post game about how since coming to Miami, Spo and Pat, they let him kind of lead and be a leader and speak up in huddles and whatever. And he said after the last game, he spoke to Bam and Jimmy about defensive assignments and what they need to do and this, that, and the third. And you see Jimmy coming out and neutralizing Maxey is it really slowed down the Heat a lot. So you remove Kyle Lowry, who's hobbled and wasn't really giving you anything. And at least Vincent, if he's not hitting shots, at least he's playing defense. And that is something that Lowry wasn't able to give them because he's hobbled. And I think that is a really, really, really massive adjustment that you add that to the adjustment of how Bam's been playing Embiid after, Embiid made his re-entry into the series. Mm-hmm. You're kind of neutralizing him with Bam. And now you're just coming down to James Harden. And I'm familiar with James Harden's work in the playoffs. You know where I stand on that. If he's going to have those games, cool. He did it once against the Raptors. Cool. He's done it once already in this series. To me, time's up, right? Like we've seen this. You don't have that much in your bag in the playoffs, James Harden. So that's really where it's coming from. Removing Lowry, an injured Kyle Lowry. I can't emphasize that enough because I'm not trying to throw shade at Lowry. He's clearly hurt. He couldn't move around. You're getting way more from playing your bench guys, which, if you remember, got them here. That's why they have the 1 seed, because of their depth and the young guys they're able to throw in and have them play.
Yeah.
I'm not going to boost Strus's shots. Strus hit a couple shots at home, but that's not why. Like, I think it's more defensively. But
no, I get it. I mean, what if Gabe Vincent doesn't play? Because right now he's listed as questionable with a knee, and maybe now all of a sudden he's becomes hobbled. He becomes hobbled guy who has to play in there. Mm-hmm. I guess like you make a ton of great points from an X and O standpoint. I just look at it and I go, you talked about the Heat like winning on the road, 1-3 so far in the playoffs, on the road. Like shouldn't say couldn't, because they ended up beating Atlanta relatively handily in I believe it was game 4 of that series. I just, again, like I'm just late to the party maybe on this Heat team as far as them being sort of championship medal, which probably isn't all that fair. I mean, they were in the bubble title series, NBA finals. Mm-hmm. And I just think that this is like that home series type of deal where like the Heat are going to advance because they never had to win a game on the road. And that, the Sixers supporting group, the Maxis of the world, right? And we're doing that thing again. And again, sometimes it's right. Like, it's not like that it's wrong. It's just like we find a defensive player to sick on an offensive player and just sort of assume that the defensive player like wins the matchup, right? Which is a lot easier to do at home than it is on the road, energy being what it is and all of that sort of stuff. There's a reason why the home team wins the vast majority of NBA playoff games or NBA games as a whole. And so like now we're going down the line where we're like Gabe Vincent is the Jalen Ramsey like of the Heat, where it's like, oh, Jamar Chase has no chance against Jalen Ramsey. It's like, yeah, no, you know what, Jamar Chase is actually pretty good, and like he's going to win some of those battles as well.
He's
and
just guarding Danny Green.
Yeah, and so no, but you know what I mean. Yeah, like obviously it's Jimmy Butler who has to, who's getting that sort of that role, so to speak. But like that's also going to put a little extra mileage, mini mileage, if you will, on Jimmy Butler, right? So like if the expectation is 40 points out of Jimmy Butler every game, or sort of as long as you need him, obviously the game got out of hand, so you didn't need 40 points technically out of Butler. But if he's going to be that guy who is like the lone scorer on the team, but he's also going to be the guy who's going to chase Maxey around. Now, listen, you and I talk about Glenn Rivers' PhD, about whether he's going to actually make any adjustments and all of that sort of thing. So like my adjustment would be making Jimmy Butler run his ass off for an entire game, right? That would be something that I would do. Now, is the doc going to prescribe that? I don't know, right? We never know what Glenn is going to do. And so I just kind of almost go away from that and kind of stumble back to like, you know what, I'm just going to take the home team in this series. And again, a short price -2. And again, maybe that's a bad decision, but like, I think this is different than the series that we're going to talk about next, in that like, this is just like, honestly, whoever's at home is going to play much better. And there isn't a difference between the two teams in the way that I think we want there to be, because you and I don't really care much for Joel Embiid, and we have a respect for what the Heat are doing and all of that sort of thing. So like, I would be on the Sixers, not for as much as maybe I will be in this next game that we're going to talk about, but like, if I had to, that's certainly the play that I would make there. And I probably will be betting it.
Yeah, no, I trust me. I totally get it. And I'm well aware of my biases towards your friend and mine, Glenn Rivers, and right. Joel Embiid and James Harden's work. And I mean, yeah, the sulking about MVP, the whining about getting hit in the face with the ball. Like, you do realize you're playing basketball. We all know that you're playing hurt. We're all aware. Yeah. We get it. You're playing tough. You're playing through it. You will get credit for that, Mr. Embiid. Cool.
Yeah.
But we're not going to be out here feeling sorry for you, right? Like, that's not a thing that's happening, especially when there's injuries throughout the league. Interesting to see how that game plays out for sure. Heat +2. Let's go. Let's see how that goes.